Welcome back. Let's get you some more of the state's news. The Chief Minister, Jayalalitha, has written to the Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh, seeking an exemption from the national eligibility cum entrance test for medical courses for the students of the state. Citing the abolishment of entrance exams for professional courses in 2008-2009, she added that it had enabled many poor and rural students score a better chance in medical and engineering courses, as otherwise to stand a chance against the urban elite strata was rather difficult. The exams would come down hard on aspiring doctors and engineers who didn't have the financial aid as well. The current 69% reservation in professional colleges is expected to be hit as well if the students were forced to take that national test up. The MDMK's General Secretary Vaiko today called on Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh to demand that the dam safety bill be amended to suit the interests of Tamil Nadu. The Chief Minister had already written to Dr. Singh on the same issue and wanted amendments in the bill. And in fact, Vaiko also wanted the Prime Minister to cancel the death sentence for a convict in the Rajiv Gandhi assassination case. In addition to that, he's also demanded that India cancel all of the bilateral trade agreements with Sri Lanka so as to make it accountable for the war crimes. Moving on, teenager Dilshan's killer, the accused retired army officer Kandasamy Ramraj, is expected to be produced for his bail hearing. This comes after he claimed that the case was in fact foisted on him. He had also said that there was only circumstantial evidence and no concrete evidence to point fingers at him. He added that the CBCID acted under pressure. The 13-year-old boy Dilshan was killed last month when he entered the defense premises to pick up fruits. Moving on, the mysterious case of death of another student, in fact, a law student, Satish Kumar, has still not been cracked. The courts had expressed their desire to see a positive action after adjourning the last session. The CBI have been probing the declarations of the counter affidavit. Earlier, the deceased's father had expressed his concern that the progress by the CBI was taking longer than expected. Satish Kumar was murdered and found in the ICF North Lake area. Autopsy reports indicated cuts on his throat along with several other external injuries. Let's move on to some national news now. There's been a political storm after an NDTV exclusive report on a Comptroller and Auditor General report that has blamed the PMO for Suresh Kalmadi's appointment as the CWG chief. Sports Minister Ajay Makkan has made a suo motu statement in the Parliament, which has been placed on the floor of the House. The statement has been vetted by the PMO. Makkan had met the Prime Minister to discuss the government's response to the report. In fact, Makkan is expected to repeat what the PMO had said yesterday, that the deal that Kalmadi made about the CWG organizing chief was in fact finalized during the NDA regime. The BJP had denied any role in Kalmadi's appointment and has now demanded answers from the government. The CAG said a recommendation by the Prime Minister's office led to Suresh Kalmadi heading that organizing committee, and this let it go outside the government control. But the PMO says it was following an NDA cabinet decision. The report was aired first on NDTV last night. Meanwhile, CPM leaders too have exploited this opportunity and attacked the government, saying that they have passed the Kalmadi buck in this case.
You know, there's a lot that is being made out saying individuals are uncorruptible, they have a great deal of integrity like our Prime Minister, etc. But the law of our land says corruption can be committed through either acts of commission or through acts of omission. Commission is when you directly make money. Omission is when you permit the making of money by others with full knowledge. Both under law are punishable. So that is why we think that this is an issue that needs a proper discussion and a proper debate, and that is why we want a discussion on this issue of corruption, also under a rule that will make the government accountable.
Moving on, the government and the opposition have finally agreed to a debate with voting on prices. Both parties were disagreeing on the text of the resolution for the debate. After several rounds, the government and the opposition then agreed on the resolution language. Initially, the resolution indicted the government for failing to curb prices, but now there will be that debate on prices. The resolution will now say that the House expresses deep concern over failure to curb price rise. Moving to news from down south, Yediyurappa has filed a writ petition in the Karnataka High Court asking the court to quash the Lokayukta report that cost him his job. The report had indicted him and 4 other ministers in the illegal mining scam. The outgoing chief minister's move comes as senior BJP leaders Arun Jaitley and Rajnath Singh head for Bangalore to finalize a consensus candidate for chief minister. Yediyurappa denied any attempt to force the party to appoint his nominee as the chief minister. Now we bring you some latest pictures of the 1,000-ton cargo ship MV Pavit, which ran aground at Mumbai's Juhu beach on Sunday. Now this is the second ship to be grounded here in the last 2 months, but unlike the MV Wisdom, which weighed almost 9,000 tons, the MV Pavit is much smaller and carries just 13 metric tons of fuel oil. The chances of fuel leakage are low according to the DG of shipping. But what has raised concerns is how the ship was floating unnoticed in Indian waters for almost a fortnight after being abandoned in Oman. The Supreme Court appointed expert panel has started its detailed examination of the treasures at the Sri Padmanabhaya Swami temple in Thiruvananthapuram. The 5-member panel met for the first time to examine the treasures in 5 vaults that were earlier opened. There was no decision on opening the other vault called Vault B, which is locked for centuries. The panel headed by the Director General of the National Museum and also other officials from the Reserve Bank. Up ahead on the bulletin, he may be back into the squash circuit after 4 long months, but Saurav Ghoshal has his eyes set on the top 20 spot this time.